Hello once again.
Hey
I'm
guys.
Adam. This is Jake, and we are on the weekly wrap, episode number 9. So 9 weeks of the weekly wrap. How you feeling, Jake? About being so it actually, I don't know. I'm very chuffed with us being able to stick to a game plan with this, because obviously when we first started, and as the weeks have gone on, we've got better with the layout and the content and the way we deliver things. So I can't wait, in the next another 10 episodes,
Yep.
because we're going to keep this going. There's so much running through our brains at any one time, and we're constantly jotting things down that we want to cover with you guys or commonly asked questions. So I think the weekly wrap's going to definitely evolve. We're going to get guest speakers coming through, but all relevant topics to you guys as well. So
yeah, it's really good just to see like where we're at each week, and then that sort of motivates us again for the new week coming.
Yep.
Go over any topics that we've had come up in the week.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been really good.
I think the accountability factor as well, because we've got to actually voice what's been happening on a weekly basis. And I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you guys are too. We've received some great feedback from the public out there, and obviously our mentees, the people we've got under our wing that are really getting a lot of valuable knowledge out of it. So we've got a few really cool topics. I'm going to be covering aggressive patience, so being patient with things but on a day-to-day basis, executing and getting the job done. The other thing that's really come up on quite a regular basis is people get too disheartened as far as the scales are concerned, and Jake and I are going to cover that. And another one, a big FAQ, is creatine supplementation for both men and women, and what are the benefits as far as that's concerned. So that's me. Jake, what do you got?
I'll be talking about sleep and the importance of sleep, and then also some tips if you're having trouble getting to sleep, and a supplement as well, Z-Mag, that we use to help us get to sleep and sort of get that deep sleep as well, which is just so important. So we'll start off with how our weeks went. So training and nutrition. Training
and look, honestly, this could have gone one way or the other a few weeks ago, taking advantage of knowing that there's only a few weeks left before prep officially begins, and I'm an all or nothing guy. If I've got a deadline and I've got a date, I will do anything I can to get it. But obviously I had every opportunity on the weekends to be able to splurge and have a blowout. But the same thing too, Leon and I sat down and had a good conversation about this too. Whereas if I did what I wanted to do and you drink my beers and do a bit more socializing, well, guess what? When it comes game time, I'm already 3 weeks behind because I'd be a couple of kilos up. So I thought, well, how am I going to minimize that, and how am I going to best approach this and get my body metabolically flying at full capacity, and obviously minimize any weight fluctuations as well. So I've pretty much pulled everything in on the weekends. I had a few beers for my niece's birthday with my parents last weekend, but I tell you what, everything, I think 99% is absolutely on the money. Training's bloody fantastic. I've just had a couple little quad niggles. Leon and I did do a little video on training with injury and the mindset. So I've turned all those negative thoughts into positive straight away and worked around it. And the other thing too is that Jake and I will do some further information and videos on BFR, or blood flow restriction training, which is pretty cool. Macros, spot on, and honestly, the less that I've tried to manipulate things with the alcohol and food and clean cheats, as we quote unquote, the better my body's responding. I've actually dropped more weight. So I'm on 565 carbs, 100 fats, and 280 protein. And you know what? I'm feeling bloody fantastic. I'm in a good mind frame, and I'm ready to kick some ass on the 26th of March. I actually start a week earlier, so
nice.
I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we start at Impact 24?
Yes, Impact, Kobe and the crew there. Look, guys, you've supported us from day one, and we are there to do exactly the same with you. We love what you do, we love what you're about, and it's going to be a great culture there, and we're going to support you guys all the way. And what about you, Jake? How's the week been?
It's really awesome. Started with deadlifts on Sunday, so it was awesome. Just a little competition with my brother, so yeah, that was good. Got out a PB for 5 sets, which was awesome. You trained chest?
Yep, bit of chest.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad, but I was a bit jealous because of obviously my injury, watching Jake smash out the deads, but all in good time.
Yeah, so that started the week off good, and then I was screwed until sort of Wednesday from that, neurally, and yeah, tried to squat and stuff, and I was screwed. So I just stuck on the leg press because my lower back was a bit tender, but everything felt good.
Yep.
And then training was good all week. Finished on arms this morning.
Yep.
And yeah, food was perfect.
So everything's
stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're both prepping ourselves for what's to come, because
Yep.
it's going to be some hardcore
Yep.
weeks ahead, and the mental toughness side of things definitely going to come into it as well.
Yep.
So,
yeah, definitely.
oh, so that's a double thumbs up from both of us. It's good to see where the consistency's up there, but honestly, you get out what you put in, and I've honestly felt like I've got more progress in the last 2 to 3 weeks than I have in a couple of months as well.
Yep.
So it's all been good.
Just being consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, you'll hear us repeat the same thing, because guess what? There's no magic pill as far as it. That is it. And yeah, I hate to be repetitive and keep touching on the same points, but that's plain and simple what it is. Which leads us to the next topic: is aggressive patience. Now, people go, well, aggressive patience is kind of counteracts each other. What I mean by that is you've got a macro goal, and that macro goal takes time. You've got to think that Jake and I have spent the last 2.5 years to get in the position where we are today, and very fortunate to have flexibility and understand our bodies, whether we're in a growth or cut phase. And it's taken time. It's been tough. And you know what? There's been weeks and months there where it feels like you're just getting nowhere. But the thing too is you've got to be aggressive on your day-to-day approach. You've got to put one foot in front of the other and understand that your job is to get here over time, but be patient about it. And the problem is that people implement a new health and fitness or training regime, and it doesn't work within a week, and they go back to their own old ways of dieting. So you've got to think, if something hasn't worked for your whole lifespan, or 8 years, or you crash dieting, or your weight fluctuation, why would you go back to your old methods once again?
Yeah.
So this is something I really want to highlight. You have to, one, be patient, but you've got to be willing to be consistent, put in the hard work on a day-to-day basis, put one foot in front of the other to hit that macro goal. You do the work, the results will come. Same again, you're not hearing anything new from us, but I need to drill this into you guys time and time again, because just because something isn't shifting within a week or two doesn't mean it's not working. You've got to think of these people that have lost a ridiculous amount of weight over a longish period of time, and do you think the first couple of months that they even see any changes as far as it? But when you look at a 7 to 10 month time frame to 2 year time frame, it is unbelievable the change that these people have. But not only that, they get to keep the weight off for good, because it's not any quick fix as far as that's concerned. So aggressive patience, guys, keep that in mind, because that is an ultimate key mindset that you need to take on board. And Jake, have you got anything to touch on as far as?
Yeah. Well, I think it can be overwhelming when you first think or get into the journey yourself and you go, whoa, it's like a big task. But the way I approach it, you probably do the same, but yeah, day by day, and just trying to hit your macros for the day, try to get to the gym for the day, even if you feel rubbish. And just day by day, because when you look at the weeks, months sort of thing, it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. I like this quote. This is from one of the guys that I follow very closely, and you know, success is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it.
Yep.
That is plain and simple. It's I'm going to sleep in, and the alarm. It's just, at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, do you really want the results, or do you want to go half-assed and get half-assed resules?
Yep.
Play self-analysis. Yeah, so all good. All right, Jake, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll touch on just sleep, I think, because for myself, if I don't have enough, it's the same as everyone. You don't have enough sleep, you feel rubbish. Your training probably isn't as good. But actually, we have great sessions still.
Yeah.
It just makes
it catches
hard.
up.
Yeah, it does. So you become in sort of sleep debt, if you'd like to call it like that, if you don't sleep consistent enough each night. So I just thought I'd go over some little tips to try and get better sleep and set yourself up for better sleep. The first thing is I take Z-Mag, so zinc and magnesium just helps sort of. Yeah. So it just helps you relax and get into that deep sleep, because it's hard to get a lot of all the zinc and magnesium that you need out of your everyday food sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is when I get into bed, my head just goes crazy with what I'm studying or working or whatever it is, just starts to pop in my head, and then I just can't sleep. So I've been trialing this app called Headspace the last few weeks, and that's made a huge difference.
On your on smartphone or
Yep.
app? Yep.
Yeah, it's on both, so you can just download it for free, and then you get like this trial period, but it's well worth to trial that out and see if you like it. Basically what it is, you just listen to some guy talking to you, and he tells you to just focus on your breath and a few other things as well as you get more experience with it. But you start with just focusing on your breath, and then when your mind wanders, you sort of do a bicep curl and bring your thoughts back to your breath. And that repetition will help with focus, not just while you're doing it, but focus for every task you're doing it. Because you say I'm working on uni or an assignment, my thoughts go wild, and then I bring it back. And now, because I've been using this app, I can do it quicker and be focused more consistently and for a longer period of time. So it's sort of working certain muscle groups in your brain to help bring you back and focus on what you're doing on. Anyway, you're bringing your thoughts back onto your breath and your breathing, and then at the end of sort of 10 minutes, he'll just say, okay, let your mind go wild, and you just can't think of anything. You've got so much head space, that's why they call it that. And I just pass out straight away. No more thoughts coming in, because I've worked out my brain or their muscles as well. So that's been really helpful for me.
And how long have you been using that for?
Way better. The last sort of 2-3 weeks, but consistently every day.
That word again?
Yep, that's it. But not, it just like reminds me on the app, and I want to do it because I know it helps. And yeah, it's really good. So I definitely recommend just having a go if you have the same issues as well, because sleep's so important. Especially if you're training hard as well. You require a little bit more sleep for your body to recover after each workout. So zinc and magnesium plus Headspace app has worked really well for me.
I think it's like, over the years that I've dealt with, is the majority of people either have irregular sleep patterns or are waking up feeling, well, they've slept, but they wake up feeling like they're not tired and re-energized. They're tired and not re-energized as far as it. And I always refer to it as the dodgy iPhone charger. You've been using it for so long, and then when it's not just that. Like, there are so many variables, and a lot of people, when they clean up their diet, they do start exercising, take certain vitamins and supplements. It definitely does help as far as regulating sleep patterns. But unfortunately, moving on what Jake said, is that the food this day and age hasn't got the nutrients it once did. So the Z-Mag, I've been a true fan for the last, I reckon, 4 years. I'm not dependent on it, but when I don't use it for a week, I definitely notice the quality of my sleep, and I wake up in the morning feeling, sometimes I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, I'm ready to start the day, which is good for me as well, because obviously I've got a good few hours before everyone starts calling and messaging, etc. But I think immune system, growth and repair and recovery, head clarity, there's so many benefits as far as sleep, and unfortunately they can be doing all the right things, but the big missing link in the chain, if sleep's not regular, it can severely impact someone, whether they're trying to lose body fat or increase lean muscle or general health as a whole. I think that's such a vital topic. So guys, obviously, if you've got any more questions with that, or you want to contact us as far as different methods that you can use, I reckon that's bloody a really, really cool topic Jake's touched on there. So, and
I thought I'd try to give some tips, not just say you need to sleep more because of this,
just sleep.
But tips, because that's what people tell me. You just need to sleep more. Okay, well, I get in bed, my thoughts are going crazy, and my body doesn't actually relax and help me with deep sleep. So that's why I use that supplement and that app. So they're just tips. So sleep is super important, but setting yourself up, you'll get a good sleep. Yeah,
definitely. No, I totally agree. Next topic, Jake and I are going to bounce off each other on this one, is holding too much value to the scales. Now, when implementing something new, you've got to also understand things take time. Your body's got to rewire itself, and especially people with chronic crash dieting or fad dieting history, on again, off again, on again, off again, weight fluctuations here, just severe inconsistencies. Don't freak out as far as the scales, because you've got to think on a macro level again, a macro like being monthly, quarterly, yearly. Just because the scales, there's certain patterns different people have with their bodies on a week-to-week basis. Sometimes the weight goes up and the measurements come down, and vice versa. But in the end of the day, as long as there's progress, because what happens is someone sees the scales go up maybe the first week or two, guess what they do? They revert back to their old ways and habits again. Hence, they've been in the same spot, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back for like 8 years straight, and they're just not willing to give aggressive patients once again. So scales is one indicator of a bit of data that you can use. And Jake and I are so, we like to reinforce this as far as getting photos when you first start, taking photos on a, even a 3 to 6 week period, hips and waist measurements and weight. These are all bits of information, and not only that is understanding what numbers you are at with your macros and tracking your training, because all of this data you can utilize to manipulate your training program, your food habits, and habitual things that you are or are not doing on a weekly basis. So scales, hey, like if I went just purely on the scales as far as my progress, I would be depressed.
Yep. I wouldn't have got anywhere the last 3 years. I'm still the same weight.
It's still the same weight, but totally changed. And and Jake and I have both found this experience with people we've dealt with over a long period of time. You can have them when they first walk in the door with you, and then a year and a half later, and guess what? They're nearly the same weight, but you couldn't even recognize them as a person. So body composition, body fat, muscle density, these are all sorts of variables that do come into the equation as well. Fluid, glycogen storage, hormones, sleep, there is so much there, but just, it's good to keep track of weight on a week-to-week basis. But if you're one that jumps on the scales in the morning, mid-morning, afternoon, every day, you need to start undoing that habit. And what we do is we get people to do it, weigh and measure the same time, the same day, once a week, maybe after they've gone to the bathroom when they wake up, to give a good consistent reading over time. But honestly, if you're looking from a week-to-week basis, there's so many variables that can come into play. You've got to, again, look at a macro level and over time what your body's patterns or fluctuations are. And not only that is that things take time, and especially for those who have either been calorie restricted for long periods of time or been so inconsistent and irregular with their food. So have you got...
muscle weighs heavier than fat, obviously. So as you're training, you're going to put on lean muscle, and you might drop a lot of fat. So that's why your weight might stay the same.
Well, you got a kilo of muscle and a kilo of fat. They're both a kilo, but one's taken up a lot more volume than the other. And exactly what Jake said. So unfortunately, fortunately, when you're doing resistance training in women especially, you're growing lean muscle as well, and it's going to get you the aesthetic look you're after and the shape and tone, not just a skinny fat. That is the worst. We don't want any skinny fats out there. And obviously we change a lot of women's mindsets because they're strong, they're doing a lot of weight training, minimal cardio, and they're still feminine and they look bloody fantastic. So the point being there, don't worry about the scale so much. It's just, it does people's heads in, but obviously the psychology behind it and having understanding of what's going on in your body and the knowledge and the data that we're collecting, the more and more we enforce that to men and women that we're dealing with, the more confident they are in what happens on a week-to-week basis. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
Oh, cool. I did have, and I'm gonna read this out. This was really cool. It's like a 4-step method as far as aggressive patience as well. You've got one is the effort, so the swing. How hard that swing. You can't go half-assed at it when you're chopping down a tree. So you've got to put maximal effort into it. That's with everything you're doing. The other one is consistency. Again, that word once again, over and over and over and over again, developing habit, being consistent. That is so important. The other one is how sharp the axe is, which is self-awareness. And Jake and I were speaking about this before as far as where you're at. Does your food need to change? Are you being consistent? How's your training going? How's your measurements going? You need to be hard on yourself as having self-awareness, but giving yourself doing self-analysis. It's so important. And the other one too, which you're going to hear again and again, you won't cut that tree down in 2 swings. You need to be patient. It's going to be time. So there's those 4 components there. 1, effort being the swing. 2 is consistency over and over again. 3, self-awareness on how sharp that axe is, because you've got to make sure if you're doing all the right things, that axe still needs to be sharp. You need to constantly adjust that as you go, and things take time.
Yep.
So that's, I really, really like that. I heard that and it really stuck with me and resonated with me. That's my little rant as far as that's concerned. And sorry to be repetitive, guys, but honestly, that's what rules Jake and I have both stuck by. And obviously, as you'll see, that we've gone and battled through some pretty hardcore times as far as mentally, physically, and what we've gone through. But we stuck by it. We're patient, we're consistent, and we knew if we put the hard work in, we'd get the results.
Yep. continually, sort of like what we do on a Friday, audit ourselves and our clients, make sure we're heading in the right direction, tweak things if we need to, go again, do the same thing next week.
Yep.
Because if you just go on week after week, month after month, chipping away without sharpening your axe, you sort of get nowhere.
So true. So we're going to steal that analogy and we're going to use it. The last one, guys, and hey, this has been really cool talking about these topics. And Jake and I both use this supplement, and this is also applies to women. Again, not just men. It's creatine supplementation. Now, this has been a huge and commonly asked question as far as, oh, I can't take creatine, it's going to bulk me, I'm going to get all fluidy and blah, 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 blah. Well, one, all the studies done, there is no research or data out there to suggest that, only as far as fluid retention being intracellular inside your muscles to keep them full and volumized, which is a very beneficial environment for growth, repair and recovery.
Yep.
All right. It is a very economical and cheap product, but the amount of studies and data that has backed up its evidence as far as helping stimulate an environment to increase lean muscle maintenance, or strength, and those types of benefits as far as that's concerned. And not only that, is that Jake and I both use this product, and research suggests, and I've gone by this method tenfold, is about 3 to 5 grams a day.
Yep.
And that word again that I'm going to use, because people go, oh no, you got to have it after training, or no, you got to have it here. You use it when you remember, whatever stage of the day that you can get it in there every day. Consistency, oh my God, that word again. Do it. You know, if it's first thing in the morning when you're having your protein in with your cereal, well, that's great. Just make sure you have it all the time. If it's after training and you remember to have it, that's great. That's fine. Can you have a little bit more if a training day? Yeah, definitely. Well, there's no adverse side effects as far as that's concerned. But around that 3 to 5 grams a day mark. And yes, for women too, because guess what? Women want to get stronger. Women want to increase resting muscle tone. And no, it will not just make you all fluidy and puffy. Guess what? I would start to consider looking at other parts of your nutritional program that may be doing that for you, because it's not creatine that's just going to magically make you fluidy and puffy. And guess what? Right up to comp time, I'm going to be using creatine all the way through, because the strength factor, while being calorie deprived, I need to make sure I maintain my strength right the way through, and not only that, it's going to keep my muscle cells full and volumized. So. What have you got to add on that based on your experience? I just want to ask,
so water intake, do you increase it usually?
Most people don't drink enough water anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say just make sure that you're consistent again with your fluid intake, around that 3 to 5 litre mark. I normally smack down on a daily basis, and especially during training. Make sure that you're not bloody depriving yourself of water, because no matter what, whether you're taking creatine or not, there's going to be an issue. Yep. As far as that's concerned. So
the other question was, you hear people talking about cycling on and off it.
Yep.
Is that a thing you recommend?
Performance enhancement is there. I've got so many of my girls using it, and so's Jake, and all our mentees within the mentor program. There's a few of our girls using it as well, and I swear by it. And as far as, especially if men and women are undertaking a strength program or a weight training program, creatine is definitely one of those staple supplements. If you want to get stronger, which is pretty much the main aim for everyone, definitely add something like that in there, because of its price-wise, it's economical, but its effectiveness on the body is absolutely sensational. So in the TSN range, obviously we both use this. It's 99.9% micronized creatine. Look, all the studies out there with ethyl ester and all these other different blends, there is no research to suggest that they have been any better whatsoever, and creatine monohydrate is the cheapest form of creatine you can get, so you're getting bang for your buck, and it actually works the best. So that's a little touch up on the creatine side of things. If you've got any questions in relation to that, or progressing within your health and fitness side of things, or mentoring, guys, we haven't even officially opened up not only our website but mentoring as a whole, and we're growing that base just purely because, one, the knowledge that and education we're already delivering out there to a lot of people, and obviously the people we're mentoring at the moment, referring others. So I just want to say a big thanks for all the support that you guys out there have been giving us from day dot. And as each day, as each week goes on, we've just been researching, we've been improving, not only on a business but a personal development level, and really looking forward to helping educate and inspire a shitload more men and women out there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I just want to say congrats to Shane as well. He just hit 20 kgs down, which isn't a big factor, but it's a cool little milestone just to point out.
20 kilos, mate.
Yeah, over the last 19 weeks.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely killing it.
So there's a true testament to someone who sticks to a game plan and is absolutely spot on with all the instructions and the information that he gets provided. The guy's just a man on a mission, and credit to all the info, mate, you've been giving to Shane. He's just glows every time I see him, and he's a different. It's incomparable. You guys have probably seen the before and after that Jake's popped up as far as that's concerned, but it just shows you hard work pays off, and it doesn't happen immediately, but it definitely does happen.
Yeah, that's it. Cool.
All
so
good.
Plans for this week?
Plans for this week, stick to the game plan. I've got my parents' birthday coming up, which I think there'll be a couple of beers and a bit of cake, nothing over the top, and then my birthday, pretty much the same. I'm looking forward just to having a nice soft entrance back into the whole comp prep side of things. I am freaking pumped. I've never been so ready for this before. There's no element of doubt or anything whatsoever in my mind, and I'm in the best frame of mind possible, not only personally, business-wise, training, you name it. I'm ready to rock and roll and bring it on.
Awesome, sounds good.
All right, guys, thanks again. Thanks for the support. This is the 9th episode of the Weekly Wrap. I hope you enjoyed, and we've got some great topics coming up next week.
Speak to you next week.